Boeing is the world's largest aircraft and aerospace manufacturer, and here we're looking at a market cap of 103.5 billion US dollars. Price to earnings ratio at 21.9 and a dividend yield of 3.4%. Boeing is the big one in the sector.
Yeah, look, I went to see the Boeing plant in Seattle a few years ago, and it's quite amazing. I mean, just to walk around that thing, the sheer size of it. And, you know, you ask them questions like, how far can the wings go in turbulence? He said, 22 feet either direction, sir. By Jove, I wouldn't want to be in a storm when it did that type of thing. But I think it just demonstrates how well made these things are and how far ahead of the pack Boeing is. Look, at this point in time in this economy, I think they'll do quite well out of a Trump presidency, even allowing for the fact there was a bit of an altercation between the two a few weeks ago when he said, no, you know, Air Force One, the next generation, we don't really need it. That was a $4 billion aircraft they were talking about. But in terms of the military, they're going to do well out of that in terms of new tankers coming through. Look, Boeing, I think, is actually quite well set up. It's got a lot of competition from the European operation, which is Airbus. But nevertheless, I think with this kind of new nationalism that's taking place in America, I think Boeing will do exceptionally well out of that.
There is another issue that we need to table, and that is the one of climate change and how that is going to ultimately impact the airline industry. Because right now, post COP21, the Paris Agreement, and COP22, climate change is on everyone's agenda, maybe not so much on Trump's agenda, but certainly the globe is getting together.
And what is your sense that could mean people travel less because they're concerned about the carbon footprint they're leaving behind?
And also that you're going to require new engineering, and that the aircraft as we know it today are going to have to be modified to take into account the impact that they have on the climate.
So the interesting thing is that aircraft engines are manufactured by General Electric and by Pratt & Whitney and by Rolls-Royce, which are three separate companies. Boeing buys those in for the purposes. So I'm not sure whether it'll become their problem.
Well, it's going to become somebody's problem at some stage. Just something to flag.
As far as Boeing is concerned, about 60% of their revenue and profits come from commercial aircraft manufacturing. That's the 787s and 767s and 737s and the Dreamliner 787. The other 40% comes from defense contracting and aerospace, which means satellites as well as, you know, military aircraft. Look at the share price though since Trump got elected. November, it just goes from where it was to this new all-time high. So obviously investors are liking the fact that Trump is making all sorts of wild comments about how the military must be strengthened, and presumably that means more. Well,
bring the world to the brink of war.
But whether or not that will really mean anything in due course remains to be seen. And secondly, whether or not, you know, things like this Air Force One contract get delayed or deferred or whatever. I don't know. It's
right now, though, what is the investment opportunity around a Boeing? Has it run too far, too hard, and this is all the upside we're going to see in the short term?
No, I don't think so. And, you know, I've been hearing the stories about people are going to be flying less, blah, 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 for a long time. After 9/11, Michael Dell, Dell Computer said, well, you know, we're not going to do any more traveling. It's all going to be on across the internet. Video, that's right. Well, you know, nice words, talk is cheap, but that actually hasn't happened. So as a result, people are going to keep on flying. And to your point, Paul, I think when it comes to military spending particularly, Boeing is way ahead of the pack. So I think they'll do particularly well out of that.
Isn't that sad that this is a good investment case because military spending is going to go up when we should be moving away from global wars at the end of the day? Anyway, let's not get philosophical on the show.
Frankly, I think all of that military spending is wasted because nobody in their right minds would get involved with any kind of armed conflict.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope
building the arsenal, so to speak.
Hot or not?
Hot, definitely.
Hot or not?
Yeah, I think so. Look, it's elevated, but I think the commercial aircraft opportunity is just too big. All of these new airlines, we're going to see and talk about some airlines in a minute. They're all ordering Boeing planes, so I reckon it's hot too.